sure that nothing is causing pain or discomfort, as in joint pain. Muscular discomfort, entirely up to you. If you need to stop and have a little rest, a little stretch, to stop and rest. If you can keep it going for as long as you can. Usual props, the ball, if I don't have the ball, a cushion or a little rolled up towel will work well. And then the band, if I don't have the band, I can use a strap, a belt, anything that is going to assist me, especially while using the legs, while moving the legs. And then if you're laying down, something like a block or a cushion to support the head when you turn on your side or when you lie down on the back. So setting yourself up in the most comfortable position. If I'm seated, as usual, see if I can prevent that slouch position that is going to compress me at the front and prevent my diaphragm from working as it should. So see if I can try and sit as tall as possible, creating space for the diaphragm, for the big breathing muscle inside the rib cage to be able to move up and down and create that nice relaxed belly breath. So making sure that I'm not breathing at the top of the chest, I'm not breathing into my neck, I'm not breathing into my collarbones. If you're lying down on the mat, just take advantage of the floor, allowing yourself to relax fully on the mat. The arms relax down the side, the legs can be bent, straight, whatever feels comfortable for your hips and the lower back. And then to begin with, just a little bit of awareness onto the breath. So see if I can let the breath drop down into the belly. So feeling the belly expanding on the inhalation and just softening, relaxing on the exhalation. I'm not consciously trying to push the belly out. I'm just letting the breath do that. So instead of expanding up here, see if I can just expand down a little bit lower down. And then as I try to get the breathing going, at the same time, I'm going to run the quick scan over the body. So if I'm seated, trying to feel maybe the pressure under the feet, comparing the position of the legs, of the arms, the pressure under the seat bones, the position of my head. Am I straight? Am I slightly leaning? Is one shoulder feels higher than the other? Am I slightly rotated? If I'm laying down, comparing the pressure at the back of the shoulders, at the back of the hips, the position of the legs and the arms, the position of the head compared to the rib cage. I'm not changing anything. I'm not trying to change anything. Just noticing where everything is and how I feel to begin with. Is there any niggle? Is there any pain, any discomfort, any tension anywhere within the body? So just aware of the tension, aware of the discomfort, so that I can compare it to what I'll feel like at the end of the session. And then as I feel a little bit more relaxed, the breath feels a little bit calmer, the body settled a little bit more into that position, I'm just going to start focusing on the neck. Just a little bit of mobility. I'm going to start testing my rotation. So keeping the shoulder girdle nice and still, I'm going to start turning the head as if I was trying to look over the right shoulder, easing back to the center, and then turning it the other way as if I was trying to look over the left. Coming back, and then turning to the right. Nice and easy movement. So I'm not forcing, I'm not trying to turn too far. I'm just trying to make it as easy, as relaxed as possible. And then comparing right and left side. I feel when I turn to the left, it feels easier, or it feels that I can go further. When I go to the right, it feels stiffer, it doesn't feel the same. So I might pay a little bit more attention to the stiffer side, to that direction. 3. 2. 1. And easing back, returning the head back to the middle. So I know my range in rotation. I know which direction feels maybe stiffer than the other. I'm going to start mobilizing into little flexion. So imagine like trying to roll something down. So I'm going to tuck my chin down towards the chest, and then lengthening the back of the neck, I'm going to curl my head. So if I'm seated, imagine possible to get your face to turn to face your chest. So I'm going to try and curl it that way. Feeling a little stretch into the back of the neck, possibly all the way down into the back of the shoulders. And then from there, I'm going to uncurl my way back into my starting position. If you're lying down, you're going to want to support the head. So I'm going to reach one or both hands behind the head. And then as you come forward into the curl, as if you come forward into that flexion, imagine to be putting traction behind you. So I'm just pull gently on the head, on the hair, as if I was trying to stretch the skin at the back of my neck. So I don't want to have any wrinkles at the back of my neck. I'm not pushing it into the chest. I'm trying to curl it as much as possible. So I'm going to try and make it as long as I possibly can. And then I'm going to ease my way back. There shouldn't be pain into the neck, and there shouldn't be any pain referred down into the arms. So no tingling into the fingertips, there's no tingling down the arms. If there is discomfort, I'm just going to ease the movement just to see if I can make it just a little bit smaller. Enough to create some movement, but not so big that it's going to create pain. 3, 2, 1, and releasing back. Relaxing through the shoulders, releasing through the head, through the neck, and then I'm going to retest my rotation. So same as I did before, I'm just going to go a couple of times. I'm going to turn to look over the right, turn to look over the left, and then comparing the movement. Does it feel different? Does it feel the same as before? I'm going to ease my way back to the center. And then this time I'm going to do a little bit mobilizing in lateral flexion. So I'm going to, instead of curling the head forward, I'm going to curl it to the side. So imagine to be taking your right ear to the right shoulder. I'm going to bring the head to the right, feeling a gentle stretch that from the back of your left ear comes down the side of the neck, almost reaching the top of that shoulder. Then easing back to the center, and then I'm going to drop the other way. So left ear to the left shoulder. And then easing back to the center. And then off the other way. If the neck is stiff, the movement will feel very small. It doesn't matter, it's whatever I've got, I'm going to use. The same as I did for the forward movement, the same as I did for the side movement, just making sure that I'm not forcing, so nothing is pinching and causing me pain, or again, any tingling into the hands, any tingling down the arms. 4, 3, 2, 1, and easing back, returning the head back to the middle, adjusting the shoulders, releasing through, and then I'm going to retest the rotation one more time. So I'm going to turn to look one way, come back, turn to look the other, and then again, does it feel easier? Same. Two. 1, and releasing back. Releasing through the neck, so it's a little bit more mobility through the neck. I'm going to try and work into the upper back. Similar range, a similar movement. First thing, I'm going to try and work in flexion. So same as I did for the head when I was trying to curl it forward, curl it down, I'm going to do for my upper back. So you can use the ball, you can use the hands into the middle of the chest, you can put the cushion there. Just the ball, more than anything, is to kind of like give me the visual feedback. What I want is to imagine to be making the front of my chest into the shape of the ball. So I'm going to rest against the sternum, against the top of the chest, so it's not pressing against the breast tissue. And then I'm going to try and wrap my upper body around it. And then I'm going to ease back. So the movement is happening just through your thoracic spine. So it's just your upper back that is changing. I'm not going into lumbar flexion. I'm just trying to mobilize through the thoracic. So my upper back. So imagine the back of the spine stretching out to create that flexion, to create that roundness, and then easing back. And at the same time, imagine your shoulder blades to be wrapping around the side of the ball. So with the spine, I'm going to wrap around over the top, and then with the shoulder blades, I'm going to try and hug it around the side. So see if I can really try to open up the middle of the back. So feeling the shoulder blades are separating and the upper back flexing and release. If you're lying down, same as you did for the neck flexion, making sure that you're supporting the head. So this time I'm going to curl my way a little bit further around, and then I'm just going to ease my way back, making sure that you're not pulling on the head again. I'm just trying to carry the weight of the head with my arms, but without pulling on it. 3, 2, last one. And releasing back. Giving the head a gentle roll, relaxing the shoulders, resetting the shoulders. Hopefully a little bit more movement through the thoracic spine. I'm going to see if I can get into a little rotation. I'm going to reach both arms straight ahead. And then as usual, I can clasp the hands together. I can keep the hands away from each other. It doesn't matter. I'm going to start swinging the arms around one side. So I'm just going to rotate to one side and then swing around the other way. So if you're lying down, you'll be rolling from shoulder to shoulder, from shoulder to shoulder. The hips are not moving, so pelvis keeps still. It's just the upper body that is going. If you're seated, think of your spine kind of like planted down on the chair. So as I swing around, my back is still straight, it's still upright. I'm not suddenly dropping and hunching forward or suddenly leaning back. So think of that nice central axe. I'm just going to rotate around the axe. And then exactly the same as you did for the neck, just noticing that rotation. Do I still have one side better than the other? Generally, yes. Turning one way feels easier than turning the other side. Can I try and pay a little bit more attention to the stiffer side? Making sure that the head is turning with me so that all of the top of the spine and the neck are going in the same direction. 3, 2, 1. And releasing back, releasing through the shoulders again, adjusting the shoulders, adjusting the back, and then changing the direction. Again, same as I did for the neck, I'm going to play with a little lateral flexion. So if I'm seated, I can cross the hands onto the chest, I can lift the arms down by the side, so whatever feels easier. And then I'm just going to start flexing down the side. So as if I was reaching down the side, easing my way back to the center, and then flexing the other way. If you're seated and the back is stiff, you will notice that as you flex to the side, so as I flex it to the right, my left seat bone tends to lift off the chair. See if you can make sure that the seat bone stays down. So I'm not taking my hips with me, the hips are staying, the body's going. And then imagine a wall behind you. So with your back against the wall, so your head, your shoulders, and your hips are on the wall. As I'm moving from side to side, I'm still touching the wall. So I'm not leaning forward again, I'm not leaning backwards. It's just a little lateral movement. If you're lying down, you've got the mat to guide you. So again, you might want to support the head with one hand. So I might support with my left as I reach down the right side, and then switching over as I reach down the left. Coming back, reaching down right, back, and then left. 4, 3, 2, 1. And release it back. Again, adjusting the shoulders, adjusting the head position. I feel, again, it's a little bit more movement. I'm going to change the direction one last time. I've worked in flexion, I've worked in rotation and lateral flexion. This time I want to work in extension. So if I'm laying down, the floor is behind me, so I don't have that much space, but I can still work my extension. I'm going to squeeze my shoulder blades together, and then I'm going to try and push my chest up and towards the ceiling. So see if I can feel the back of the rib cage lifting away from the mat, arching away from the mat. And then I'm going to ease my way back down. If I'm seated, see if you can think of the exact opposite to the flexion that you did with the ball. So imagine it possible this time to hold the ball between the shoulder blades. So the same that I was doing when the ball was at the front, this time I'm going to do imagining the ball behind me. I'm going to try and hug it with my back and hug it with my shoulders, and then I'm going to ease back. So this time, think of creating space at the front of the body. I'm going to try and lengthen through the collarbones, open up through the front of the chest, and then see if I can create that nice lift through. And then I'm going to ease back. So see if I can ease off again, a little bit more stiffness, a little bit more tension from the upper back, as we spent so much time seated, computer, chair, sofa, that we tend to be into that kind of like rounded shoulder, hunched position. So see if I can try and come out of it and then create as much space as possible. 5, 4, 3, 2, last one. And release. Giving the shoulders a little bit of a roll. Again, adjusting the shoulders, adjusting the upper body. And then I'm going to move down into the lower back now. I'm going to start off with a little bit of a pelvic tilt. So think of combining the flexion with the extension. But this time, instead of trying to move the top of the spine, I'm going to move the bottom of the spine. I'm going to tilt the pelvis back. I'm going to roll onto the back of my seat bones, down onto my tailbone, rounding the lower back. And then I'm going to tip my pelvis forward. I'm going to try and lift my tailbone, trying to sit up nice and tall over the seat bones. And then I'm going to tilt back again. So just a little movement. I can use the arms by the side to help me, especially to help me encourage that return into neutral, to help me encouraging that lift. If I feel that I'm a bit tight, I'm a bit dropped, so I'm struggling to get up into the lift. So I'm just going to use the arms to help me push myself into that lift. So see if I can try and feel that lift, to feel the movement. If you're lying down on the mat, easy as it's, I've got the floor behind me that is going to guide my movement. I'm going to tilt the pelvis back until I can feel the lower back touching the floor, or pretty much touching the floor. And then I'm going to go forward. I'm going to tilt it back and then forward. So it's a nice, easy rocking forward and back, as if I was trying to massage the back of the pelvis and the lower back. So again, I'm not forcing, I'm not trying too hard, especially if you're lying down, making sure that your bum doesn't start clenching, your legs don't start to tightening up. See if I can keep them reasonably loose and reasonably soft. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And easing back, returning the spine back into neutral. And then this time I'm going to, instead of going forward and back, I'm going to go side to side. So I'm going to go into a little hip hitch. So same as we did for the upper back, this time instead of trying to bring the rib cage down towards the hip, I'm going to hitch the hip up towards the rib cage. So I'm going to hitch up on the right, ease back, hitch up on the left. Ease back, hitch up on the right, back, hitch up on the left, back. So feeling a little, almost like a little swing, a little pendulum side to side. If I'm on the mat, if I'm seated on the chair, imagine your seat bones, imagine to be pulling the seat bone off the chair. So I'm going to walk my seat bones up and down. I'm going to hitch up on the right, and then hitch up on the left. And then exactly the same as I did for the anterior posterior tilt, I could use my hands to offer a little support so that I can maintain that lift, and then trying to hitch. So feeling the right side of the belly tensing when I pull up on the right side, feeling the left side of the belly tensing as I pull up on the left. It's just a little tension. It's nothing too heavy. I'm not expecting anything too big. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And releasing back. Adjusting the hips, finding the seat bones to see if I can bring myself back nice and tall over the seat bones if I'm sitting down. And then I'm going to finish off with a little bit of rotation. If you're seated, you're limited. You're sitting on your seat bones, so I can't really turn my hips, but I can still rotate through the upper body. So if you're seated, you've got 2 options. I can cross the leg if I can. I'm going to bring the legs nice and close if not possible to cross them over. And then opposite hand goes across to the side of the leg, side of the knee. I'm going to pull the legs across, and then I'm going to turn the opposite way. So think of this time, if before I could feel myself spiraling up from the shoulders into the neck, this time imagine that spiraling movement going from your hips all the way up to the neck. So it's the all of the spine that is turning, that is twisting. If you're lying down, I've got the space. I'm going to open the arms up a little bit wider, and then bringing feet and knees nice and close together. I'm going to roll the legs, the hips to the right, easing them back to the center, and then over to the left. So it's a nice, easy crossing the pelvis. The upper body staying relaxed, the neck is soft, the jaw is relaxed. I'm not clenching my teeth, I'm not stiffening through my face or through my lips or through my mouth. 5, 4, 3, 2, 2, 1, and easing back. Returning the legs back to the center, returning the hips back to the middle, adjusting the hips, adjusting the back. So I can feel, hopefully I feel a little bit looser all the way through the spine. So I'm just going to start focusing on the shoulder joint and the hip joint. So I'm going to allow the arms to come down by the side, and then one arm at a time, I'm going to start coming up into a front raise. So I'm going to raise the right arm up to the front. I'm going to lift it. I'm going to reach it as far up, as far back as I can. And then returning the arm back by the side. I'm going to try the same thing with the left. So I'm working single arm so that if my, I don't know, left shoulder is a bit stiff or it's a bit painful, I can keep the movement small on that side. And then I can go for a bigger movement on the other side. So it won't affect my range on the good side, but I still got time to think of the stiff side, painful side. If you're lying down, it's easy as you're working with gravity, so the movement can be quite big and quite easy at the same time as the shoulder is supported. If I'm seated, the arm is heavier as I'm lifting it against the gravity. So just make sure that as the arm starts feeling heavier, I'm not shrugging and stiffening through the neck to get it to lift up. So see if I can think of the shoulders keeping down, the neck is staying loose, staying relaxed. It's as nice, as soft, easy lifting as if the arm was kind of like a floating up. So I'm just going to grab hold of a balloon, and the balloon is just going to take my arm up. I'm going to release it. I'm going to switch side and then release it. So little movement, big movement, it doesn't matter. 4. Checking that the head stays seated on top of the shoulder, the neck doesn't suddenly start poking forward, creating tension at the back of the neck. 2. 1, and release. Relaxing the shoulders, releasing the upper body, and then I'm going to change the direction of the movement. From a front raise, I'm going to go into a lateral raise. So instead of bringing the arm up to the front, I'm going to take it to the side. So I'm going to swing the arm around the side, bringing it up, bringing it as far up, as far around as I can, and then I'm going to take it back. Then same thing with the other side. In this direction, there are more chances of clicking and pinching and discomfort than there is in this direction at the front lift. So always play with the position of the hand. So if I turn my hand down and lift my arm, then the top of the shoulder will hit the top of the shoulder will hit the top of the arm, the head of the humerus, and it will pinch. So I can't go very far. My shoulder is going up. It feels really uncomfortable. If I turn my hand to face forward or to face up, that's going to affect the top of my arm too, because the arm is going to start rotating. Now, the combination between the top of my arm and the shoulder socket is better, is working better, so I can lift the arm higher with a lot less effort and definitely not pain. So play with the position of the hand to see if you can find a smooth lift. And if you feel that the shoulder still feels quite stiff, it still feels quite clicky or tender, then I'm just going to make my lift a little bit shallower. So instead of keeping it right to the side, I'm just going to bring it slightly around to the front. And then I'm going to try the other side. And then again, I can feel my left side feels heavier, my right side feels fine, or vice versa. If you're down on the mat, as usual, I'm going to try and keep the arm as close to the floor as possible, as if I was kind of like wiping the floor with the back of my hand, with the back of my fingers, or with my nails. If I find that that's too much, I'm just going to allow the arms to swing away from the floor and towards the head. So finding the angle, finding the movement that works for both shoulders. 4, 3, 2, 1. And release. Relaxing the shoulders, relaxing the arms. And then I'm going to try one more time. This time I'm going to work on coordination. So what I want is for my right arm to go into a front raise, my left arm to go into a lateral raise. So I'm going to send my right to the front, my left to the side. I'm going to bring them back, and then I'm going to switch the left to the front, the right to the side. Back and switch, right front, left side, back, and then switch, back, and then switch. Making sure that the two arms are clearly going in different direction, as we tend to kind of like get muddled and the arms start kind of like going at strange direction. So I want one to move to the side, and then one to move to the front. One to move to the side, one to move to the front. If you find that you tend to lose the pattern, or I find it really hard to coordinate, I think you want to clearly see one arm in front of you, or you just want the other one to disappear to the side. So I want to see one clearly in front of me, while the other one is just off to the side. 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and release. Relaxing the shoulders, releasing through the upper body, releasing through the neck, and then I'm going to play similar, but with the legs. So I'm going to start off with a little abduction. So I want the leg to go out to the side. So I'm going to shuffle the feet and the knees nice and close together. And then I'm going to start focusing on the right leg. I'm going to let the right knee push off to the right. And then I'm going to bring it back. I'm going to repeat on that side. I'm going to open it to the right and then bring it back. Open it to the right and then bring it back. So I'm focusing on that leg. I wanted the left leg to hold nice and still. So the left leg is not going anywhere, it's not moving. It's just my right leg. I find that today this leg is a bit temperamental, so it doesn't listen. So I'm just going to guide it. I'm going to use my hand to push the leg where I want it to go. And then if I need to, I'm going to use the hand to guide it back to the starting position. So see if I can think of a nice, easy movement side to side. So it doesn't need to be big. Just to see if I can try and loosen up into the right hip. If you're lying down, exactly the same. I'm going to keep my left knee pointing straight up at the ceiling, making sure that it doesn't flop out to the side. And then with the right, I'm just going to go out and then come back. If you're lying down, this time the other way, it makes it a little bit harder to lie down, as when the leg opens to the side, the pelvis tends to go that way. So the weight of the leg is pulling me in that direction. If you can keep a nice activation into the middle, into the center, to make sure that the hips and the back are staying nice and still. It's just the leg that is moving into the hip socket. So I'm not letting the leg drop, I'm not letting it flop. I'm trying to control it out and control it back. And then again, if the leg is a bit temperamental, I've got my band, I'm going to place it around the back of the leg, and then I'm just going to use the hand to guide it. 3, 2, Last one. And releasing back, relaxing the hip, releasing the leg. I'm going to try the same thing with the other side. So if I need the support, I might place the band around the leg, and then I'm going to hold the right nice and still and just let the left open to the side, vice versa if we've already done that side. So thinking of that little movement to the side and then coming back. Again, guiding it with the hand. If you need to, opening and closing that door. 5, 4, 3, 2, last one, and release. Relaxing through the hip, there's a little bit more movement into the hip joint. What I want is a little bit of an up and down this time. So I'm going to start pushing. So the feet are back to about hips width apart. So there's a little gap between the feet and between the knees. So again, comfortable distance, comfortable position. I'm going to push my right foot hard into the floor, and then I'm going to relax. I'm going to push the left and relax. Push the right, push the left. As you're pushing into the floor, see if you can be aware of the tension climbing all the way up into the hip. So the tension is not just on the foot. I can feel that it's the all of the leg, all the way from the hip, that is actively pushing into the ground. Easing the pressure and then pushing down with the other side, as if I was walking in reverse. So instead of trying to lift my feet, I'm trying to push them through the floor, push them through the mat. So pressing down with one, release the pressure, pushing down with the other, release the pressure, pushing down with one, ease the pressure, pushing down with the other, ease the pressure. Once that I can feel a little bit more connected on both sides, the same as before, I could use my hand to guide it. I want the leg to press down. I want the leg to press down. I'm going to see if I can start focusing on the opposite. So I'm going to push down with the right, and then instead of relaxing, I'm going to try and lift it. Then I'm going to release. And push down with the left, and then instead of relaxing, see if I can lift it. I might be able to lift it. I might not be able to do so. It doesn't matter. I'm trying. So just the heel just gradually coming up, that's good enough. So see if I can be aware as I'm going into the lift of a little bit of a twitching, a little bit more activation deep into the front of the hip. So my hip flexors suddenly clumping up to allow that lift. So I'm going to press down and then I'm going to pull up. Press down and then pull up. Press down and then pull up. Press down and then pull up. And then same if I'm lying down. I'm going to push it into the floor and then try to lift it away. Push it into the floor and then lift the other side. Push, lift, push, lift. 4, 3, 2, last one, and release. Relaxing into the hips. So I've got a little movement to front to back and a little bit movement out and in. I'm going to try and combine those movements. So I'm going to get into a little circle. If you're lying down, you want to raise the leg. So if you need a little support, you can use the band around the back of the leg. You can hold the leg. If you hold the leg, the arms are a bit shorter. So if I can go for a bigger circle, I'm limited by the arms. If I've got the band, I can make my circle quite big if I want to. Imagine a pencil strapped to the tip of the knee. What I want is with that pencil to draw circles in front of me. So if I'm laying down on my back, my circles will be on the ceiling in front of me. If I'm sitting down on the chair, my circles will be on the wall in front of me. And then same as I did for the lifts, the foot doesn't need to lift off the ground. Just to see if you can picture your thigh bone circling into the hip socket. So see if you can picture the movement in the hip joint. So see if I can try and massage the joint as if I was trying to loosen up and relax into the side of the hip, into the back of the pelvis. 3, 2, 1, and release. Then same thing with the left side. So I can use the band around the leg. I can use my hands to help me. And then I'm just going to go around, trying to make it as smooth as possible. So nothing is grinding, nothing is pinching, nothing is catching. What I want is to ease some of the stiffness, some of the tension of the hip. 4, 3, 2, 1, and release. Relaxing through the hips, relaxing through the legs. When you're ready, if you're lying down, rolling over onto your side, and in your own time, pushing yourself up into sitting. Finding that comfortable seated position for the legs, something that is going to allow you to sit reasonably upright, to see if you can create that space, to see if you can create that lift. Using the arms to help support to the position, leaning against the chair, the wall, the sofa, something that is not going to slide away. And then see if we can really try to make space at the front of the body. So I'm going to start pushing the chest forward. I'm going to send it up to the ceiling. I'm going to flip the shoulders back and down. I'm going to lift the chin. I'm going to look forward, look up, look back. And then I'm going to release and come forward, allowing the chin to drop down to the chest, to the shoulders to come forward. I'm going to roll my way down towards the legs, as close to the legs as I can get. And then coming back again, pushing the chest forward, rolling the shoulders back, extending your way through, and then easing your way forward, letting the chin drop, the shoulders come forward, rolling your way down. Last time, as much space as I can create. Shoulders back, the chest goes forward, looking up, looking back. And then easing your way back. One hand to the belly, one hand to the back. Take your back. Give yourself proper then